so because I felt a little bit better prepared for that, I think it just kind of trickled into everything, like you just feel like, okay, like I think this is going to be actually pretty successful. And then if you have that mindset, it's just a little bit easier to lean into it. And then you get to the end and you're like, wow, okay,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You are listening to the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast with your host, Eric Logan. No Gimmicks, Just Sweat is dedicated to hearing the journeys and unique stories behind an athlete's training and what drives them. Get inspired to own your life and make the impossible possible. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, please take a few seconds to rate the show and drop me a review. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, welcome to this episode of No Gimmicks, Just Sweat. And today, we're welcoming back a person you met in episode 13. And then you met her again in episode 28. And now, she's back again. The one, the only, Monica Huson. Monica, how are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you for inviting me back. I'm excited to catch up with you today. I just ran for the first time since running Boston this morning. So easy 6 miles, getting back into the regular habit. So it's a good day to catch up.
Okay. Yeah, I just finished my regular morning run, not 6 miles, only 3, but I'm already, and I'll be out this afternoon cycling. So I got my morning workout done and have my afternoon.
That's perfect.
All right. So, Monica, I have you back here because when we last spoke, you had just ran 3 marathons in a 6-week period. And now you just ran the Boston Marathon again. And how many months or weeks has it been since you last ran it?
I think it was about 6 months between, because Boston was in October last year, and then so we're April. So if I'm doing my math right, it's about 6 months.
So 3 marathons in 6 weeks, and then the Boston Marathon again in 6 months.
I think so, yes.
So here's the first question. Why?
I think at this point I just feel a lot of good momentum, and you're never really guaranteed any future, sporting participation. And so I think at this point I'm just enjoying kind of the positive momentum, and so we're just going to kind of keep going as long as I feel like it's fun. Right. And so I think I would say that's a big part of the why. There was a time for sure when like in the past when I didn't think I would be, quote, good enough for Boston. So it's exciting to be able to go back. It's definitely a privilege to be able to go back, and I don't know. Like I said, I just kind of keep it going for as long as I can.
Okay. And again, you are a very positive person, and you're actually brought an inspiration to many, even though you might not know it. Because you're to go out and continuously do what you do and smile and always post and be positive. That says a lot about you as a person. It says a lot about your passion for running as well.
Yeah, I mean, I am an optimist. That's my go-to is more optimistic side, and the more just kind of pleasant, and find something that is good. I think I've become more of a realist over the years, so that I have a little bit more like a little bit more, times when I'm kind of temper the rampant optimism, but generally my personality is definitely one to look and find the good. So
Okay, yes. Okay, so before we get into this year's Boston, let's look at kind of between when you last ran Boston in October, because again, it was delayed or postponed because of the pandemic. Uh, let's look at it from between October and now. You know, what adjustments did you make to prepare to run it again?
Quite a few things changed. Well, I don't know about quite a few. Some pretty big changes. Maybe the largest shift was a coaching change. I was just needing different support in terms of coaching that wasn't really happening, and I think it's depending on how long you're with your coach. It can be a little bit bittersweet to arrive at that decision and have confidence enough in yourself to make a change. And so it was not easy, but kind of maybe going back to the optimistic side of myself, I knew that I wasn't at my best, or kind of on that track at that point. And so I knew that I was worth a chance at getting back to that trajectory. And that to me is, if you feel that way, you really need to honor that about yourself. You really got to find people and surround yourself with people who are really cheering, who are actually super cheering for you, and not for necessarily like their own adventures or their own success. So it was important to me to kind of reconnect with a coaching relationship where that was really the case. So I changed coaches in December, and my coach is Mel Rojas, top American in Boston, again, just a couple weeks ago. And she has been really, really wonderful. Her communication has been really good. What I appreciate, I appreciate a lot of things, but something that I was really looking for were just kind of notes on any nuances about workouts, or just very feedback about how they went after the fact. And I think that has really been critical in how I've kind of changed as a runner over the last 4 months in terms of confidence and physical ability. But it has just been a really positive change. And I'm really glad that I trusted myself to make the change, because for as much time as I'm spending, or other people are spending practicing this sport, I think it's really important that you feel like what you're doing is making a difference in terms of your goals. So
Yes, definitely. So with a new coach, were there any major changes in your regular training? Were there any major changes in your diet and nutrition?
The biggest change for training was, or is, that she's also a strength coach, and that is paired together with being one of her athletes. And that's something that I was really looking for, and it's probably a player in the reason that I chose her. And so she gives, along with the running programming, 2 strength workouts a week. and then also 2 like mobility type workouts a week. And it takes, you know, extra time to do those things, but I do think that the really intentional strength workouts that she pairs, you know, along with the running programming made a big difference. Just overall as like myself as an athlete, but you know, as we were getting closer to Boston, we're doing like different sort of lifts and techniques that are geared more towards downhill running, that kind of thing. So that was probably the biggest difference in training. I didn't really do much towards diet. I'm a pretty equal opportunity person as far as diet goes. Not a whole lot do I do. I don't know if there would be anything that's off limits, but I don't know. That's not. I mean, we all have room for improvement, and so I'm not saying I have the most fine-tuned nutrition strategy, but that didn't really change much. The thing that changed the most was the more targeted strength. And then she's a little bit, she's pretty creative with her workouts. So the workouts, a lot of them will have both more distance type work, and then at the end it'll have more like speed type work. So that's also been kind of fun to experience that type of training, because it actually makes it go by really fast, because you kind of have to come at it from all different angles. So
okay. Once you started making these changes, did you notice a change? And of course, you know, you're not going to notice it overnight, but in the months coming up to the Boston Marathon, did you notice that like you were much faster, or that your endurance improved? What were the changes that you noticed about yourself as a runner?
I think a little bit of both, actually. I just felt I felt very prepared for a little bit quicker marathon pace. I felt more equipped to try the faster speed work. I definitely did not. I'm still not like a 100-meter girl, right? Like, you know, like, but you know, like to that end, it's no secret to me or to anyone who I run with or who has helped me in the past that my top speed is like, and you know, turnover and everything that's related to that. That's kind of where my biggest maybe improvement potential is, because that's like where, if you look at a chart, like my shorter distances are less competitive than the longer distances. So instead of just prescribing like go out and just run faster, now has sort of like different strategies within a workout to try to encourage turnover or better turnover or that kind of thing. So I think I just felt a little bit better prepared to even try a workout to try to be faster at like a 200 or something like that. And so because I felt a little bit better prepared for that, I think it just kind of trickled into everything, you know, like you just feel like, okay, like I think this is going to be actually pretty successful. And then if you have that mindset, it's just a little bit easier to lean into it. And then you get to the end and you're like, wow, okay, you know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So was there anything that you specifically that you did during the October Boston Marathon that you said like, yeah, the kind of it's kind of like the whole if I knew then what I know now type of approach. Was there anything that you kind of saw that from yourself that you made changes on?
I don't think so. My race in October, I ran with two friends, and it was just so great. And my goal in October was not quite the same as my goal a couple weeks ago, and so I didn't have any catastrophe in October. I didn't have anything that I was like, whoa, never doing that again. So really, I'm grateful for that, because I know a lot of people, the marathon it doesn't owe you anything, and especially Boston doesn't owe you anything. And so I'm grateful, to not have had a time in October where I came away with a ton of those kind of takeaways. So, my preparation for this past Boston a couple weeks ago, it was different in terms of workouts and training preparation. And we did a little bit different hydration. I did not carry a bottle for the first time ever in a marathon. I did not carry a bottle a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
and
really?
So we had to kind of chit chat about, what the plan was going to be for that, paired with fuel, So generally though, I mean, I found the race actually to be very similar, in terms of like that there, even this past race, there was nothing glaring where, it was just this big disaster,
Right.
And so I'm also super grateful for that, because I know, that a lot of people have a lot of challenges on that course. So.
Right. So let's kind of go back a little bit. You said you didn't carry a bottle this time. Was there a reason why? Because generally that's the one time I would think I would want, like, okay, I need to have a small bottle on me of something.
Yeah, this was my 10th marathon, and I have carried a bottle, or like my first marathon I ran with Camelback in 2004, and then my second marathon in 2007 I ran with the little fuel belt with the little bottles on it.
Right.
And then I switched to like a bigger handheld, and in the fall I just each of the 3 marathons I got to mile like 14, 15, and I just wanted to chuck my bottle off the bridge. Like I just wanted nothing to do with it. And finally in New York I did throw it at a water station. And then, at that point I'm halfway into the New York Marathon, and I had never practiced fueling with the little cups, and so that was a big challenge at New York for me. So I don't know if it's just it's a thing where I'm now a bit faster, and so when you're trying to kind of split hairs and try to, really fine tune your pacing, where at the times that I'm running, I don't know if that's it. I don't know if I just, like running is so personal, and it's so like kind of nebulous, that what worked for you 5 years ago might not really work for you now, and that's okay. And I think it's important to understand that, and not like hang on to a habit that worked for you 5 years ago just because it worked for you 5 years ago.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know, like I just think how things have come around. I did not want to carry anything in Boston this past April, and And I have to, and so I had practiced with the little cups in the New York half in March, and then also at Cherry Blossom. I practiced drinking them or from them, and you know, I still am not the most efficient at it, and so, you know, but that's okay. Like, you know, I mean, it's something to work on, and at least that's something to work on. So I was actually really happy with how I felt hydration wise in Boston. Like I took either water or Gatorade every other stop, and I think it was totally good. So yeah.
All right, so we're coming up on this year's Boston Marathon. If I'm correct, you ran the Cherry Blossom before that, right? Or was that after?
Before, yeah.
Before. And that was more, did you consider that like a tune-up to kind of get ready for the Boston?
Yeah. Yeah, we were just using it for racing experience. I wanted to practice with the cups again. It's a pretty local race for me. It's within like a couple hour drive, and we were able to stay with friends, so that was kind of fun. And yeah, that was, I think, 2 or 3 weeks out from Boston. Yeah.
Okay, so we're here at Boston now. What are your goals for running this Boston Marathon?
We were pretty sure that I was in shape for like a 3:03 to 3:05 or 6. And so that was kind of the plan. I didn't have like a real specific race plan in terms of paces, like, you know, mile 0 to 3 and then 3 to 6. Like we didn't, that's not how my coach does race plans. And so, but we, you know, we have a coaching call before the race, and we're, you know, discussing strategies and, you know, like points of decision, you know, like how to make this decision, or, you know, just different things that might come up in the race as far as pacing, or, you know, that kind of thing goes. So it was, I mean, you know, I think the way also that she coaches, I felt a little bit more equipped to run more intuitively, and maybe a little bit more by effort. Some of our workouts are effort based and others are pace based, and so that kind of gives you a nice blend of lining up effort and pace sometimes, you know. So so that was the goal. So it's, you know, 7-minute pace plus or minus maybe 5 seconds on either side, depending on terrain and that kind of thing. So that's what I planned to do, and I felt super prepared for that. And I was rolling, like, for, you know, as people in Boston do. Like I didn't go, I mean, I did not go out too fast. Actually, it was so crowded. My first mile was 7:15, but you just really could not go any faster. Which actually, that was a difference between October, because October was a rolling start and you could just start whenever you wanted. So this was a much more traditional big marathon major start. So yeah, so I just settled in. I wasn't running with anyone this year. I just settled in, and just enjoying the crowds and managing the effort, and really, really happy with my run. I mean, so happy because I was like comfortable and relaxed, and everything felt great. I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but it felt like almost every mile was like 6:54, 6:54, like, and that was just so, so cool because I felt like, yes, like I am like so ready for this. And it, there's like an overpass at like mile 16 or so. And that's like that's right before Newton. And I think I got stuck in my head all of a sudden. Because I had felt so comfortable and confident over the rollers in the first, 16 miles. And then I think in my head, I was like, oh no. And then, so I lost a little bit on, throughout the hills of Newton. Still didn't feel like destroyed. I didn't feel like I couldn't go on. I could, my legs weren't trashed. I think I was just too much in my head because I was like so happy that I had been able to be so steady. And I think in my head, I was like, well, now you can't, like, are you going to be able to hold it now? Is there all these hills? So, but I don't think that's like uncommon. I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think that's all right. I mean, a marathon is hard enough as it is. So, I just, like managed that for as best I could. And I think most people slow down in that section. And then my last couple miles were back low sevens. So, all in all, I mean, I did not finish in our projected pace range. But it was of course PR for the, above or better than October. So I was really happy. And I really did feel, even though I got in my head a little bit, in Newton, I still feel like I was so prepared. I know that the fitness that I built, over the past 4 months is so valuable. If for nothing else than those first like 16, 17 miles. I wasn't, I didn't feel at all like those were overextended. And so I'm just excited. I'm excited for what the fall is going to bring, and excited for the summer in between to kind of try to bring a little bit more of that top speed down. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you walked into this Boston much more confident and more excited about it. It's not like you had like a different, energy coming into it.
Oh, 100%. I probably couldn't have had much different energy and much better energy. I mean, I was really, really excited about the opportunity of Boston in April, for sure.
And you were talking about getting into your head. I think that happens to all of us at some point during, longer races, no matter what you practice, and train, it is a certain point, where you just kind of go, oh, can I continue? Am I slowing down? I think we all experience that at some point.
Yeah, I think so too. So, and then it's just a matter of like what you do with it, So I just tried to acknowledge it and keep going forward, and not just assume that the whole day is lost, because it really wasn't. I mean, I still really am happy with the race, and so grateful for my preparation and for the guidance, and just really excited for what's to come.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so what is to come? So what's next for you? You've done Boston, and it's just now May. So you got plenty more months left in the year. So what's next for you?
Well, I said right when we started that today was my first run back. We had, I had 2 weeks off. Last week did a little bit of light cross training. And I didn't feel like I didn't have any acute pain or anything like that after the race. But I just think the mental break is really important.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so I just, I slept in, I made breakfast on the weekends. I did, caught up on some stuff at work. I mean, just really, I love the practice of running and just the rhythm of it, getting outside during the day. But it is really, it was really nice to have a time where that wasn't on my to-do list. So today was my first run back. It went really well. It's a beautiful morning. And I'm excited to get back into the rhythm of it. I don't really have a lot on the calendar anytime soon. My town has a 5K in July that I'll probably do by default. But I don't have any races on the calendar for a while, but it's kind of nice because you can get like a really solid little seed block, or, just work on some other things that aren't, going to maybe fit so well when you're having a big race in the near future. So I'm registered for Chicago in the fall.
Okay.
There might be a change in that, but I don't know really about that yet. So, but I am registered for Chicago, so that at least is a for sure thing. And that'll be my third Chicago, I think. So I'm really excited to go back, and would really, love to have a great day there. So pretty sparse right down there compared to last year, actually. So, but that's all right. It's kind of nice, especially after the fall. So.
What? No more 3 marathons in 6 weeks?
Yeah, I was really lucky to do that. I don't know if I need to do it again. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to ask you next is that, what advice would you give someone as if they were looking at running Boston, given that you ran in October, you just ran it in April, you made some necessary changes between those times. So what piece of advice would you give to anyone who, is eyeing Boston as a goal race for them, or just any marathon?
I would say to commit yourself to a process of preparing, and then trust the process. So it's, some days it doesn't feel like what you're doing, like on, easy run after easy run. It's just like, sometimes it's hard to really understand how it's all preparing you. Or, if your workouts aren't feeling stellar, you're wondering, like, if it's preparing you. But, I would say if that's your goal, to find, a training strategy or a coach whose philosophy, whose personality, whose like kind of logistics seem like they're going to be a good fit for preparing you and helping you feel prepared. then trust it. I mean, do your due diligence. I mean, you do want to have confidence in what you choose to prepare you. But you also, if you're gonna put your trust in somebody, just do it. And understand that maybe it will take you a shorter amount of time to get there, or maybe it would take you a longer amount of time. And but if you're committed to doing the work and to like staying in the staying in the game, then I think you'll get there. If you find that for whatever reason the person you choose or the strategy you choose is actually really not setting you up for your best self, then maybe trust your gut and make a change. I mean, when I say trust the process, I'm more talking about like the day-to-day, like why am I doing 10-800s, or like or because I do think from my own personal experience, having someone who you feel is genuinely in your corner and setting you up to succeed for your goals, that's really important. And if you don't feel like the person or plan that you printed off or whatever is preparing you for that, then have trust yourself and honor yourself and find something that does set you up for that.
Awesome. That is great advice, and I hope everyone listening pays close attention to it, because that is great advice there. Monica, thank you again for coming on to the show.
You're welcome.
You are my first three-peat guest.
Well, I'm happy to come back, and it's always nice to talk to you, and happy to come back anytime. So I appreciate the invitation.
Oh yes, and again, I appreciate you coming, and I know you will probably be on here again, sharing more of your adventures and your inspirational story.
Yeah, anytime. Let me know.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. You too now. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in each week. If you enjoyed today's show, please support us by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember to tell your friends about the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast, so we can continue to have awesome conversations with everyday athletes just like you. Until next time, have an amazing week.